Have you ever wondered what happens when humanity, once thought to be weak and insignificant, faces the most powerful and ruthless empire in the galaxy? How would the Deathworlders stand against the overwhelming forces of the Scorch Dominion? What drives a species to rise up, not just for survival, but to protect others? Welcome to HFY Sci-Fi Love and War Story. In today's video, we're diving deep into a thrilling battle for survival, strategy, and courage. We'll explore how the unlikeliest of heroes, humanity, proves that we are more than just survivors, but warriors who can stand against the darkest forces of the galaxy. Can humanity truly protect a peaceful world from destruction? Let's find out. In this video, we'll take you through an intense, high-stakes conflict between humanity and the terrifying Scorch Dominion. As the battle rages on, we'll uncover the strength, resilience, and unexpected power that humans bring to the galactic stage. Trust me, you don't want to miss how this fight unfolds. Stick around, and you'll see what happens when the Deathworlders make their move. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to HFY Sci-Fi Love and War Story. And if you have any thoughts, comments, or suggestions, drop them below. We'd love to hear from you. Your feedback helps us bring you even more quality content. This video is packed with fascinating details and critical insights. Make sure you watch till the end so you don't miss a single piece of this epic journey. Let's dive in. The Vigilant hummed softly in the silence of the docking bay, its deep vibrations resonating beneath Captain Maya Chen's boots. Her eyes remained fixed on the flashing red alert on her console, a notification that had appeared just minutes ago. Her pulse quickened despite her outward common emergency signal from an unknown species. The words on the screen flickered with an urgent, haunting plea. Our settlement on Lumina II is under attack by the Scorch Dominion. We are a peaceful people. Please, help us. She repeated the message in her mind, analyzing the strange melody that had filled the bridge moments earlier, an alien voice wrapped in harmonics that tugged at something deep within her, something ancient. Her fingers hovered over the controls, uncertainty creeping into her thoughts. Lumina II was far outside their patrol zone, an uncharted world separated by vast distances, with nothing but empty void between them. The Vigilant was an exploration vessel, not a warship. Her crew wasn't trained for combat, their mission wasn't to intervene in interstellar conflicts. And yet, the desperate cry for help remained. Lieutenant Park, Captain Chen's voice cut through the tension, clear and commanding. Verify the signal. Run every authentication protocol we have. I need to be certain this is real. Park's fingers danced across his console, running complex algorithms, his face tightening in concentration. The ship's hum grew louder as the seconds stretched into what felt like an eternity. Finally, his voice broke the silence. Captain, the signal is legitimate. It's from the Ceruleans on Lumina II. But, it's using an emergency frequency we've never encountered before. It's unlike anything we've ever recorded. Captain Chen's heart pounded. The Ceruleans, an unknown, peaceful species, according to the data they had, were under attack. She felt the weight of the decision pressing down on her. Earth had been isolated from the galactic community for centuries, feared and labeled Deathworlders. Known for their harsh, unforgiving planet, humans were seen as dangerous, too unpredictable to trust. And yet, they were the ones the Ceruleans had called. We've been branded Deathworlders for too long, Chen murmured to herself, her gaze distant as she stared into the void. But perhaps now we can show the galaxy who we truly are. Lieutenant Park's voice interrupted her thoughts. Captain, we're ready to initiate FTL jump. We can reach Lumina II in 28 hours, but the Scorch Dominion is already in orbit. Time is against us. She straightened, feeling the weight of command. Do it. Set course for Lumina II. Notify Earth Command. This is now a priority mission. As the ship shifted into faster-than-light travel, the acceleration hit like a sudden jolt. While the Vigilant streaked past distant stars, the blue glow of Lumina II slowly appeared on the display, wreathed in delicate gas clouds. Data on the planet streamed rapidly, its atmosphere, life signs, and environment all displayed in intricate symbols. Though the information was only preliminary, Chen could feel a quiet resolve settling in her chest. They were approaching a point of no return, an event that could change not just the fate of one species, but possibly the entire galaxy. Captain, Park spoke again, combat systems are online. But we don't have the firepower to engage a force like the Scorch Dominion. This could get ugly. Chen turned to him, her expression unyielding. We won't fight with weapons, Park. We fight with spirit. With the resilience we've honed over centuries. We can't win through destruction, but we can win through protection. The space around them seemed to paint a picture of an uncertain future. The crew prepared for whatever awaited them, each passing second thick with tension. Everyone understood that without cooperation and trust in one another, they wouldn't survive this battle. But trust wasn't something easily earned. There was only one way to prove it: through action. The Vigilant hurtled through the depths of space, racing toward Lumina II. Every moment was heavy with the weight of this decision. As they drew closer to the planet, one thing became undeniably clear: this was humanity's moment to step out of the shadows, to cast aside fear, and prove that they were not just strong but also brave. The Vigilant surged through faster than light travel, its sleek hull vibrating with the raw power of its engines as it raced toward Lumina II. Captain Chen stood at the helm, her face a mask of determination as her crew worked tirelessly around her. Their mission had shifted in an instant from exploration to combat, from peaceful discovery to brutal conflict. The tension was palpable, never more so than now, when every passing second could determine the fate of an entire world. The briefing room was thick with tension, its walls lined with holographic maps of the Lumina II system. Key regions of the planet marked by the Cerulean's radiant mountains and crystal-clear waters glowed prominently. Yet, these very areas were the targets the Scorch Dominion sought to destroy. The Ceruleans, a species that had built their society in harmony with nature, had become unwilling victims of the Dominion's relentless expansion. These reptilian conquerors, their bodies adapted to extreme heat and brute strength, were now assaulting them, threatening to extinguish the Ceruleans' peaceful existence. The Vigilant was not a warship. It was an exploration vessel, outfitted to scan distant stars and study alien ecosystems. But now, it would be called upon to fight. The ship carried basic armaments enough for defense, but nowhere near sufficient to challenge an empire like the Scorch Dominion. This vessel, built for discovery and research, now bore a far greater responsibility to serve as a shield for a world unaccustomed to war. Chen's stomach tightened as she reviewed the intelligence on the Scorch Dominion. These reptilian conquerors had evolved on a high-gravity, high-temperature world. They were creatures of fire, their thick, armored hides resistant to scorching heat, their strength unmatched. They had swept through multiple systems in their unending campaign of expansion, leaving only devastation in their wake. Though their appearance was fearsome, it was their relentlessness that was most concerning. They never stopped, always seeking to dominate weaker worlds. The Vigilant's crew was no match for them. They lacked the tactics and weaponry to face a military force as formidable as the Scorch. But they had one thing no enemy could easily counter: human resilience. They did not surrender, even in the face of death. Even if they had to fight with crude weapons, they would fight. Because humans, Deathworlders, were survivors. They always had been. And now, perhaps, they would be the galaxy's salvation. Captain, the voice of Commander Elias Reed pulled her from her thoughts. The Marines are prepped for deployment. We're preparing for a landing once we break through the Scorch blockade. The mech units are fully operational, and weapons systems are online. Reed was a veteran of multiple military campaigns, and his experience was invaluable now. He had focused on preparing offensive and defensive strategies with his troops, including the massive combat mechs, mechanical warriors capable of turning the tide of battle. These machines could operate in any environment, from low gravity to scorching wastelands, and they would be the Vigilant's trump card in this fight. Chen nodded, her eyes scanning the tactical displays. Battle plans had been meticulously laid out, identifying key Cerulean settlements that needed protection, coordinating strike teams, and preparing fallback positions. Every detail had been accounted for, from engaging Scorch forces to evacuating Cerulean civilians. Then we will give the Ceruleans the only thing they asked for: help, Chen said, her voice unwavering. We will make sure their message was not in vain. She looked around the briefing room, where officers and commanders were intently studying every detail of the plan. Each of them understood that this was unlike any battle they had fought before. They weren't just fighting to protect a world, they were fighting to prove that humanity could be part of the galaxy, not as outsiders, but as defenders and allies. Their forces might not match the Scorch Dominion's strength, but they had unity. They had endurance. And, most importantly, they had heart. And that would be what carried them through. It's time, Captain, Reed said, his voice firm with resolve. We will be the light in the darkness. Chen turned her gaze to the main display, where Lumina II grew clearer with each passing second. Cerulean villages shimmered beneath a deep violet sky, nestled between towering mountains, soft white clouds, and rivers of glowing light. All of it was at risk of being erased by the Scorch. But now, as the Vigilant pressed forward, they carried the hope of an entire world. As the Vigilant emerged from faster-than-light travel, Lumina II appeared before them, a planet of blue oceans and green continents, its surface dotted with the shimmering lights of the Cerulean settlement. Even from a distance, it was clear that the Scorch Dominion had already claimed the skies. The massive warships of the enemy fleet were suspended like ominous shadows above the peaceful world, a stark contrast to the beauty of the planet below. "Landing zones confirmed," Lieutenant Park reported, his voice calm but laced with a tension that could not be ignored. "We have a window of 20 minutes before the Scorch fleet detects us. If we're going to do this, we need to move now." Captain Chen's eyes remained fixed on the monitor, the map of Lumina II's surface flashing before her. The countdown was ticking. Every second that passed brought them closer to a decision that would change the fate of the planet. "Initiate stealth systems," she ordered. "I want the Vigilant undetected. We'll provide the Ceruleans with a distraction, but the landing teams are the priority." The massive hangar doors of the Vigilant opened with a hiss, revealing the planet's surface below, a jagged landscape of crystal formations and vast stretches of untouched wilderness. As the ship descended, the whirring of the engines grew quieter, muffled by the planet's atmosphere. The battle-ready forces, including Commander Reed's Marines and the towering mech units, began their descent toward the surface. The shuttlecraft that would carry them into the heart of the Cerulean settlement rumbled as it prepared for touchdown. The descent was smooth, but Captain Chen couldn't shake the feeling of unease that settled in her chest. This was a planet that hadn't seen war, hadn't felt the chaos of battle. The Ceruleans had lived in peace for centuries, unaware of the horrors they were about to face. Now, the fate of their world rested in the hands of humanity, a species that had been labeled as too dangerous to join the galactic community. It was an uncertain and fragile alliance, but they had no choice but to act. As the ship's landing gear touched down on the alien soil, the team disembarked, their boots crunching against the crystalline ground. The air was thick with the scent of unknown flora, a subtle hum vibrating through the atmosphere. The terrain was unlike anything the humans had encountered before, strange, yet oddly beautiful. The soft glow of the planet's bioluminescent flora illuminated their path as they advanced toward the Cerulean settlement. But this beauty was fleeting. The Scorch Dominion's forces were on the move, and Reed's Marines had no time to waste. The order had been given: secure the settlement, protect the Ceruleans, and neutralize the threat before the enemy could regroup. They moved swiftly, their combat mechs towering over the landscape as they scanned the area for enemy movement. The towering, humanoid mechs moved with mechanical precision, their heavy footsteps causing the ground to tremble beneath them. Every movement, every step, was calculated and deliberate, as they advanced deeper into the alien terrain. The first signs of the Ceruleans came quickly. A group of slender figures emerged from the shadows of a nearby crystalline formation. Their skin shimmered with an ethereal glow, translucent blue, and their eyes held a mixture of hope and disbelief. The Ceruleans, though advanced in technology, had never experienced war, and the sight of the human forces arriving was both a relief and a terrifying reality. You came," one of the Ceruleans said, its voice melodic and fragile, yet filled with gratitude. The translator worked overtime to make sense of their words, the strange syntax twisting through the air. Despite the fear and uncertainty in their eyes, the Ceruleans felt a sense of hope, something they hadn't felt in weeks. "We heard your call," Reed replied, his voice steady. "We're here to protect you. Get your people to safety. We'll handle the rest." The Cerulean nodded and gestured toward the settlement, leading them toward the heart of their city. It was a peaceful place, nestled within a network of glowing crystal structures. But as they moved deeper, the first signs of the Scorch's forces appeared: a patrol of 8 heavily armored warriors, their reptilian eyes glowing with menace. They opened fire without hesitation, energy bolts flashing through the air with deadly precision. But the humans were ready. The battle erupted with a roar, the sound of energy blasts and mechanical movements filling the air. The Scorch warriors advanced swiftly despite their heavy armor, their strength immense and their weapons deadly. But Reed's team was faster, more agile. The Marines, with years of training on Earth's high-gravity world, moved like shadows, their bodies adapting effortlessly to Lumina II's lower gravity. Every step was calculated, every move deliberate. Private Rodriguez found himself diving behind a crystalline structure as energy bolts impacted the ground around him. His heart raced, but his training kicked in. The simulations had not prepared him for this moment, facing an enemy so different, so relentless. But he was ready. They were all ready. "On your three," his squad leader shouted, and in an instant, Rodriguez pivoted, his rifle trained on a Scorch warrior. The advanced targeting system in his weapon adjusted for the unfamiliar gravity, and the shot rang out, striking the Scorch warrior in the chest. The creature staggered but did not fall. Its thick armor absorbed the impact, but Rodriguez's aim had done its job. It was stunned, momentarily vulnerable. "They're tough," Rodriguez shouted as the warrior regained its stance and raised its weapon to fire. "Target their joints," Reed ordered calmly. His voice was cool, precise. He had fought in countless battles, but this one felt different. The enemy was not just fighting for survival, they were fighting to annihilate. The Scorch Dominion was not here to negotiate, not here to coexist. They were here to conquer. The Marines and Mechs fought with unparalleled determination. Every shot, every movement was calculated. They were not just defending, they were proving a point. This was not just a battle for Lumina II, it was a battle for humanity's place in the galaxy, a test to see if Earth could rise to meet the challenges of the stars. The massive combat mechs advanced alongside the Marines, their frames unstoppable as they crushed the Scorch warriors underfoot. The sound of metal crushing bone and the flash of energy weapons lit up the battlefield as the humans slowly pushed the Scorch forces back. The first wave of Scorch warriors fell, but Reed knew this was only the beginning. The battle would rage on, but the humans had proven one thing: they were not just survivors, they were warriors. And they would fight to the very end. The battle had shifted. The air was thick with the hum of energy weapons and the echoing steps of the massive combat mechs. The Scorch forces, once seemingly invincible, were faltering under the relentless assault from the humans. Their reptilian bodies, built for immense strength and heat resistance, were being outpaced by the speed and agility of the human Marines and their towering mech units. The Cerulean settlement, which had been on the brink of collapse, was now a battleground, with every inch contested. Despite the mounting success of the humans, one figure remained, one symbol of the Scorch Dominion's power. The Scorch commander, a monstrous figure nearly twice the size of its warriors, had watched from the shadows. It had observed the human tactics, waiting for the right moment to strike back. That moment had arrived. The ground trembled as the massive creature, armored in scales that shimmered with an unnatural heat, advanced toward Reed's position. The Scorch commander's four glowing eyes locked onto the human leader, its voice a low growl, like the rumble of distant thunder. "You, humans, Deathworlders," the commander hissed through its translator, its voice dripping with contempt. "You are nothing but vermin. This is not your war to fight." Reed didn't flinch. He had faced countless enemies in his career, but this one was different. The Scorch commander was no mere soldier. It was a leader, a symbol of the Dominion's might, and it would not fall easily. The ground beneath Reed's boots shifted, and the Marines around him readied their weapons. The air crackled with tension, the weight of the moment pressing down on them all. This was at the moment when humanity would prove itself, not just as a species capable of surviving, but one capable of standing toe-to-toe with the most dangerous empire in the galaxy. "Move out," Reed shouted, his voice cutting through the noise of battle. "We take that monster down now." The Marines advanced in perfect unison, their combat mechs leading the charge. The Scorch commander turned, its movements swift despite its massive form, its four eyes scanning for any sign of weakness in their formation. But Reed had seen this before. He had studied the Scorch, learned their tactics, and now it was time to outsmart them. "Target its joints," Reed barked. "Disable its mobility. Focus fire." The Marines fired with precision, their weapons slamming into the Scorch commander's armored hide. The shots were designed to penetrate the joints, the gaps in its armor. But the creature was tough. It roared, retaliating with a barrage of energy blasts, each one forcing the humans to scatter and seek cover. But they were relentless. The combat mechs, designed for the most extreme conditions, closed in with terrifying speed. Their weapons unleashed torrents of firepower, tearing through the Scorch commander's defenses. The humans moved faster, adapting to the low gravity of Lumina II and exploiting the commander's slow, lumbering movements. The battle raged for what seemed like an eternity. The Scorch commander fought with the ferocity of a cornered animal, its massive claws swiping through the air, trying to shred any human who came too close. But the humans were faster, more agile. They ducked and weaved, firing relentlessly, never giving the creature a moment to recover. The mech units circled around, striking from unexpected angles, their massive frames like unstoppable juggernauts. Finally, with a resounding crash, the Scorch commander fell to the ground, its massive form shaking the earth beneath them. The ground rumbled as it hit the dirt, the battle suddenly pausing in the aftermath. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by the heavy breathing of the Marines and the distant sounds of the remaining Scorch forces retreating. Reed stood over the fallen commander, his breath heavy, his face a mask of determination. "We fight for more than just survival," he said quietly, almost to himself. "We fight for those who cannot defend themselves." The Scorch commander, once the symbol of an empire's might, was defeated. The morale of the Scorch forces had shattered. Without their leader, the remaining warriors hesitated, unsure of what to do next. The tide had turned in favor of the humans, and there was no turning back. With the Scorch commander defeated, the remaining Scorch forces began to retreat. Their once impregnable morale had collapsed, and with their leader's death, they faltered. The Marines pushed forward, clearing the final sectors of the Cerulean settlement, their weapons still raised in anticipation of any last-ditch efforts by the enemy. The battle had been long, and the casualties were heavy, but the humans had prevailed. The Cerulean settlement, once on the brink of annihilation, now stood under the protection of the human forces. The streets, once filled with the sounds of battle, were now quiet. The Ceruleans, their bodies still glowing faintly with the bioluminescence of their kind, cautiously emerged from their hiding places, their eyes filled with wonder and disbelief. They had seen the humans fight with unmatched strength and speed. They had witnessed the Deathworlders prove themselves as more than just warriors. They had seen them protect the helpless. Commander Reed, covered in the dust and grime of battle, met with the Cerulean leaders. The chief elder, a tall figure with skin that shimmered like the stars, stepped forward. His voice, once tinged with fear, now held a tone of awe. "Humans," the elder began, his voice soft but resonant. "You have done what no one else dared to do. You have saved us. Our people have feared you for so long, thinking you nothing but savage conquerors. But now, we see the truth. You are protectors." Reed stood silently, his gaze fixed on the elder. The Ceruleans, who had once believed that all who were like the humans were nothing more than dangerous, unpredictable forces of nature, were now beginning to understand. The galaxy was changing, and with it, humanity's place in it. In the skies above, the Vigilant remained in orbit, its crew monitoring the aftermath of the battle. Captain Chen stood at the helm, her eyes fixed on the peaceful world below. The Ceruleans had been saved, and the Scorch Dominion had been driven back. But the war was far from over. The galaxy was vast, and humanity was only beginning to carve out its place within it. "Captain," Lieutenant Park called out, his voice tinged with relief, "the Scorch forces are retreating. The settlement is secure." Chen nodded, a smile tugging at the corner of her lips. "For now," she said softly, her eyes reflecting the distant stars. "For now, we've won. But we are not done. The galaxy needs to know that humanity is here not just to survive, but to protect. We are the Deathworlders, and we are no longer content to be hidden in the shadows." The Vigilant's engines hummed to life as Captain Chen gave the order to return to Earth, the ship leaving the shattered remnants of the Scorch Dominion behind. But even as they departed, Chen knew this was only the beginning. Humanity's story was just beginning to unfold, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The Vigilant soared into the vastness of space, its mission complete, but its legacy, as protectors of the galaxy, had only just begun. So, what do you think? Can humanity truly stand against the galaxy's most formidable forces, or are we just another species waiting to be consumed by the Scorch Dominion? After witnessing the bravery, strategy, and raw strength of the Vigilant's crew, it's clear that humanity is far from what the galaxy once thought of us. Thank you for joining us on this thrilling journey through HFY Sci-Fi love and war story. If you enjoyed this adventure, don't forget to give us a like and hit that subscribe button. Your support means the world, and it helps us keep creating amazing content for you. Plus, if you have any ideas, questions, or thoughts about the video, drop them in the comments. We'd love to hear your perspective. Remember, this video was packed with incredible twists and strategic moves, and we hope you've stayed with us till the end. The story of humanity's rise is far from over. In fact, It's just beginning, and we can't wait to bring you more stories about how the Deathworlders are reshaping the galaxy. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and we'll see you in the next one. Keep exploring with us here on HFY Sci-Fi Love and War Story.